Hi everyone. The book that we'll be looking at today is this, HMS Terror by Matthew Batts. I am super duper excited for this book because after having pre-ordered it for almost 2 years now, it has finally arrived. The pandemic has many things to answer for, but the book has finally arrived. HMS Terror was one of the ships that was involved with the ill-fated John Franklin expedition that tried to find the Northwest Passage through northern Canada as a shortcut for shipping routes. Unfortunately, the crews of HMS Terror, along with its sister ship, the HMS Erebus, were lost. In the 90s, some bodies of the crew were found, and the book that was published about those discoveries involved a full-page view of one of those dead frozen sailors that haunted me for quite some time. And then, a couple of years ago, the wrecks of HMS Erebus and Terror were discovered, and now we have a much better idea of what happened during those terrible months when the ships and the crews were trapped in the ice. This book does cover the John Franklin expedition, but it's more than that. This book looks at the complete history of HMS Terror. And indeed, the subtitle for this is The Design, Fitting and Voyages of the Polar Discovery Ship. So this book has a technical emphasis in addition to the operational. HMS Terror was built in 1813, or rather it was completed in 1813. It was ordered in 1812. And as an interesting side point to history, it was among the ships that were involved in the bombardment of Fort McHenry in Baltimore. That particular bombardment, together with its sister ship, the Erebus, inspired the lyrics of a song that became known as the Star-Spangled Banner, which in turn is now the American national anthem, or rather, the United States national anthem. This book covers the complete operational history of HMS Terror. We see the ship from when it was first built, right through to its operational use as a bomb vessel, meaning that it could lob carronades and cannon shells onto fortresses, and then its eventual conversion into a polar discovery ship. Already the Terror was a tough and well-built vessel, but its use as a polar exploration ship meant that it was further adapted to withstand those strong ice forces. And as an interesting note, once the ship was ready together again with the Erebus for the John Franklin expedition, they ended up being the first Royal Navy vessels converted to run on steam, or rather converted to run with a steam engine. Just as they had finished fitting out and were about to embark on their expedition, the first purpose-built Royal Navy steam warship, the Rattler, was being fitted out. This book has three main sections. The first section covers the operational history of the ship right through to the John Franklin expedition. The second part of this book, and the highlight for me, is that it's a book unto itself. It could almost be a book that is an anatomy of the ship, or even one of the shipcraft modeling volumes. And it takes an extremely detailed, almost plank-by-plank look at the construction and makeup of this ship, and as it was during the 1845 John Franklin expedition. And as no doubt you're seeing in the photos up here in the corner, the plans are quite extensive. They are beautifully reproduced, so the detail is crystal clear, and you can have hours just absorbing all the details of how this vessel became a extremely well-fitted polar research vessel. There is a fascinating small chapter about the Terror, the AMC TV series, of which the author, Matthew Betts, was the historical advisor on that show, and as part of the production, full-scale reproductions of the upper deck and some of the main cabins of the Terror were built. The final part of this book looks at the wreck and what we know thus far of the wreck's condition and what it can tell us about the last months and days of the Franklin expedition. As Matthew Betts notes, there is so much more to learn. The story of both vessels and the expedition are finally being unraveled. And it will be quite some time before a far more complete understanding has been reached. But until then, this is the most complete book you will ever find about HMS Terror, certainly from a technical and architectural point of view. This is a thoroughly detailed look at the history of the ship and its life, from construction to loss to rediscovery. The only way this book can ever be improved is when more information about the wreck and what it tells us about the John Franklin expedition is unearthed, then new editions can be built on this. But until then, this book is the technical reference for HMS Terror. For those who want to read about the personal side and what happened to the men on the John Franklin expedition, it's best to look elsewhere. This book focuses purely on the ship and its makeup, with reference to its crew and its commanders. For the sheer wealth of detail on its construction and operation, this book is a 5 captain's hats. Get it, add it to your library. It is a beautifully detailed, immaculately presented, and fantastically researched book. A loving, detailed history of an absolutely fascinating ship. Do hunt it down and do check it out. And if there are any other books about other ships that you would like reviewed, as you can see, I do have a fair amount, and this is just part of my library. So if there are any other books or ships that you would like reviewed, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to review them for you. So until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone.